This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. The wheels of justice are grinding Donald Trump and his lawyers pretty fine. And we've got some new developments. And then we got a timeline of at least 10 major events in state and federal court, criminal and civil and appellate courts involving Donald Trump and his happy band of 4 lawyers running around between now and the election. 9 of these major events, from oral arguments and briefs and motions and appendix that all have to be filed or argued, or court appearances, 9 out of the 10 are before the election. An election, a campaign where we are watching Donald Trump effectively quietly quit. That's the only explanation for it. He's making his closing argument as to why he's not capable of being president again. In the meantime, his lawyers, against hundreds and hundreds of prosecutors and their staff, 4 guys, literally 4 guys, 4 guys and a couple of paralegals are running around in 4 different courthouses in 10 different events that I'm going to outline for you now. And now we've got the Second Circuit, the court where he's got the appeal as to whether he should have his entire state prosecution, where he was convicted by a jury in New York of 34 felony counts, before sentencing on the 26th of November, whether that case should jump the tracks and go to federal court to be handled by a federal judge or not. Sort of late in the game. He lost already once with a district court judge, Judge Hellerstein, and now he's taken an appeal to the Second Circuit to argue, I'm a federal officer, or I have federal defenses. I was operating to pay off Stormy Daniels and the sex act I had with her because I was president. It's part of my job duties. I mean, I'm giving you the summary, but that's really the argument. And the Second Circuit's like, this will be interesting. This is my artist rendering of the Second Circuit. But we got a relatively annoyed Second Circuit order, which says to Donald Trump, it is hereby ordered that your brief must be filed on or before October 14th of 2024. Now, that's not unusual. They set dates. But here's the unusual part. The Second Circuit is obviously wise that Donald Trump, that they've been running around in the last month, either missing deadlines in various courts, asking for emergency deadlines to be extended, filing motions to extend after they've missed the deadline, or just asking for an extra 30 days because why not? In other courts. And the Second Circuit's like, this is the Second Circuit. This is welcome to the major leagues. This is the fill in the blank of your favorite baseball team that's a winner. And that's the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. First among most of the circuits in terms of prestige, at least the way they think about themselves. And the clerk said, if you don't file, the appeal is dismissed. Effective October 14th, 2024. No grace period. If we don't get it by midnight, October 14th, 2024, if it's not filed by that date, your appeal will be dismissed, Mr. Trump. And if you file a motion to extend the time to file the brief or seek other relief, that does not toll or stop the filing date. Unless you get relief from this court to not file on October 14th and you miss October 14th, just because you filed a late motion asking for more time is not going to toll the date. Now, why are they so annoyed at the second? Because Donald Trump runs in late to the 11th Circuit, where he can't even file a brief on time, where he's the winner. He won with Judge Cannon dismissing the Mar-a-Lago case. The appeal is by the Department of Justice, and he can't even file his opposition brief in time in a case he won, let alone a case he loses. And he filed it late. And of course, they saw that in Judge Chutkan's case, the D.C. case I'm going to spend some time with and giving you the chronology here on the calendar, is that he missed the deadline and then asked for forgiveness. They're like, we thought we could file at the end of the day. We didn't realize it was 5 p.m., even though it's been 5 p.m. filing deadline throughout the 3 years of the case. So the Second Circuit, you got till the 14th of October, Trump. And if you don't file, your appeal's dismissed. And don't ask us for more time because we're probably not going to grant it. It's not going to stop the clock. That's the explanation for this order. Now, let me give you the real pressure, this wheels of justice finally grinding fine on Donald Trump and exhausting his four-man legal team against hundreds and hundreds of people that represent the Department of Justice in the special counsel's office, and hundreds of people that represent the people of the state of New York in the Manhattan DA's office against these 4 guys. Okay? 4 guys named Mo. Here we go. I think it makes sense to do it in date order, these 10 events in 4 different courts from now until November, but then I'll tell you in which court it is, state or federal, appellate or trial level. All right? Fair? Let's go. Put me on the clock. It's like speed chess with Popok. Here we go. Speed Trump calendar deadlines. September the 26th in the District of Columbia Federal Court. the Department of Justice will be filing what looks to be 180 pages plus of evidence against Donald Trump as to why the indictment, the superseding indictment that was just rendered against him by a grand jury, should survive the U.S. Supreme Court's immunity decision from July. That brief, that opus is going to be, boom, landing on the desk of the D.C. Judge Chutkan on September 26th. While that's happening, and the lawyers are working on that, they also have to work on preparing on the same day for oral argument at the First Department Appellate Division, which is the intermediary appellate court in New York State Court. So now we're in state court for oral argument as to why the judge's decision that Donald Trump committed fraud along with his sons and family and all of the organization for more than 10 years and owes the people of the state of New York more than $500 million, why that should be overturned. First stop on the train, an appellate court in New York is the appellate division, wherever it resides. Here in Manhattan, First Department, I'm a member. Losing that, Donald Trump would have to go to the Court of Appeals, the highest court in New York. So same day. Now we move ahead 5 or 6 days, pardon me, to October the 3rd. On October the 3rd, Donald Trump, back in federal court in the District of Columbia, has to file a motion to dismiss on statutory grounds to argue to Judge Chutkan why any of the 4 counts against him should be dismissed. Not on immunity grounds, but on statutory grounds. She's already rejected this in the past, but he gets another opportunity to do that. Then on the 14th of October, 11 days later, Donald Trump's brief, as I just outlined, is due to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals federal as to why his 34-count felony conviction and the sentencing should be delayed and the case against him related to Stormy Daniels transferred to federal court. That's on the 14th. On the 17th of October, 3 days later, back in the District of Columbia federal court, the Department of Justice will file its opposition to the motion to dismiss on statutory grounds. And Trump has to file on that same day his opposition to the Department of Justice's immunity brief, that 180-page brief about why the immunity decision does not impact and why the indictment survives the immunity decision, both on the 17th. On the 23rd, 5 days later, Donald Trump has to file on an extension his brief to support Judge Cannon and her dismissal of the Mar-a-Lago case, finding that the special prosecutor, special counsel, was illegitimately appointed under our Constitution and the second Article 2. Which is a loser. And that's going to get reversed by the 11th Circuit. But Donald Trump's opposition brief is due on the 23rd by extension. The next day, on the 24th, he has to go back to the District of Columbia federal court and file a motion, if he wants to, which he said he's going to dismiss the case, the indictment against him, because the same thing as Cannon. I call it the Cannon motion, because the special prosecutor was improperly, illegitimately appointed and funded under the Constitution. Again, a losing argument that Judge Chutkan has already looked down her eyeglasses at during prior hearings in this case and said, I don't think Judge Cannon's decision was well-reasoned, but if you want to file it, and they're going to have to file it on the 24th. 5 days later, on the 29th of October, the Department of Justice gets to file and give to the American people a second gigantic brief of evidence against Donald Trump to show all the crimes he committed in D.C. in the election interference case and why he does not enjoy immunity for all of that. 2 briefs by the Department of Justice before the November election to show the American people evidence against Donald Trump. On 2 days later, on Halloween, on October 31st, the Department of Justice has to file its opposition paper, against Donald Trump's attempts to dismiss the indictment in the District of Columbia federal because they find the special prosecutor to be illegitimately appointed. So the Cannon motion fully briefed by October 31st, all before the election. Then we've got 2 things after the election. On November the 7th, Trump has to file his reply brief to argue to Judge Cannon in the District of Columbia that the indictment should be dismissed because the special prosecutor is a figment of our imagination. And then that's on the 7th, 2 days after the election. And then on the 26th of November, Donald Trump will likely be sentenced in New York State Court by Judge Merchan for the 34 criminal counts he was convicted of in that case. So what have we done here in this hot take in under 10 minutes? We've done actually 11 events in 4 different courts: the district court, federal in front of Chutkan, the New York Court of Appeals, or the Intermediary Court of Appeals, Appellate Division, First Department, state, the Second Circuit, Appellate Court, federal, the 11th Circuit, Federal Court, federal. Okay? We've done all the events from September the 26th all the way to November the 26th, including almost the bulk of them, the majority of them, all before the election. Now, Donald Trump always seems to use his cases as a campaign stop. And he may try to do that again. He may try to show up at the oral argument at the Second Circuit because he needs some airtime, or he might try to show up at some of these other hearings, stand in front of those bicycle racks and do those impromptu press conferences where he takes softball questions from Newsmax or Fox Media and the like. And we'll continue to follow it all. But the reality is, in the split screen of his campaign, and his criminal cases and his state cases and his federal cases, looking at $500 million judgments being confirmed against him, looking at sentencing on 34 felony counts, looking at a new trial related to 4 federal counts, looking at 20 years, mostly apiece. That's a lot. That's a lot. While things happen against him at like Butler, Pennsylvania, and the golf course at near Mar-a-Lago, and he's trying to purportedly, and I think it's purportedly, trying to win an election, while he continues to attack women and talk down in a mansplaining, misogynist way, tell women why they should vote for him and he's the best for him. I mean, that's what it's reduced to, between the cats and dogs eating and telling women and telling off women who aren't considering voting for him because Kamala Harris is up by 21 points. This is what's left of his campaign. There's no real campaigning going on. Where is he in the 7 battleground states? Where is he in North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, the three crown jewels of the battleground states? He phones it in. He phones it into Newsmax and Fox Media. Where is his interviews in the local media in each of these battleground states? Where is his ads? I know he's getting outspent 5-1 because Kamala has all the money right now, and that's the way that people are voting. I know he has no social media, appearance or a presence at all. It's all been ceded to Kamala Harris and her team. She's outspending him there, 20-1 on social media platforms. So we'll continue to follow this crazy count. This is like Michael Popok's Porter board, or Tim Russert. That's my list, man, of the things that are going on. I bring it to you right here on the Legal AF YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. We're building this pro-democracy channel parallel to the Midas Touch Network in collaboration with them to try to get to 100,000 free subscribers by Halloween. Might as well throw it on the list. So until my next hot take, until my next exclusive content right here on the Legal AF YouTube channel, go out and free subscribe, leave a comment. It's all helpful to the algorithms. And until my next Legal AF podcast, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network, this is Michael Popok reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.